Man, I could go for a Cuban sandwich.
Oh wow, we got people
hot pressed cubano. Yeah, man, we got fans. Fans chat before the show starts. This is like this
like tailgating.
It's like the title screen to Super Mario All Stars. Everybody's just kind of like hanging out and just kind of chit chatting. Then someone turns on the lights.
So yeah, basically game that tune the same as Super Mario Brothers All Stars.
Tag yourself. I'm Luigi.
I'm Super Mario Brothers 3.
I'm Birdo.
I meant characters on the title screen, but yeah, of course, David is the living embodiment of Super Mario Brothers 3.
Yeah.
Oh, if we're going with characters on the Super Mario All Stars title screen, then I'm gonna say Pidgeot.
I knew you would. You like the obscure stuff, and people forget that even exists.
I call the one red shy guy.
Real quick, while we're talking about fucking Pidgeot and things from Super Mario Brothers 2, I was listening to this other video game music podcast the other day, and they were talking about Doki Doki Literature Club and how I haven't played it, but apparently it's like a stealth horror game. It's like some kind of silly.
It's apparently like super fun dating sim.
That's actually a stealth horror game. And sorry to spoil that for you, David, but they tried to justify the fact that the Doki Doki franchise is actually a series of horror-ish games. And they remember playing Doki Doki Panic back in the NES days. And yeah, I guess you could call that game a horror game. Like, brother, if you're just going to talk out of your ass that bad, make sure that we know you're doing a bit. Because right now, when I was listening to that show, I'm like, these guys are out of their goddamn minds. You played the Doki Doki franchise, the franchise of secret horror games. Like
I remember playing the Doki Doki franchise, back on the NES. It was really kind of a horror game. All I can think about is Parks and Rec of, I don't have time to explain all the ways that you're wrong. Right, actually, seriously. If I don't, this is going to bother me.
Yeah. Let me just pop back in here. Yeah, that's the urge that I've been resisting, like just fucking screaming at this podcast on Twitter. Like, no, just let them have their fun.
So this whole time, I assumed that there were multiple Doki Doki games for the NES, and I didn't realize
there are not.
That Doki Doki Literature Club is like from 2017.
Yes. That's what's so funny about it. The Doki Doki franchise, as this podcast talked about it, is not a thing.
What does Doki Doki just mean like fun or something like that? Like, does it mean anything?
It's the onomatopoeia for a heartbeat.
Yes, thank you, David.
Oh.
Doki Doki.
Yeah. So, no, I get it. Huh.
So it's kind of like a general Japanese, like anything that's like fun to get your heart racing or like romantic or anything like that. It's just Doki Doki.
Yeah, it is not a franchise of horror games that began with Doki Doki Panic on NES and most recently was Doki Doki Literature Club on the PC. That's not a thing.
I thought that was the name of the gorilla who threw barrels at Mario.
No, you're thinking of King Kong.
Barely related.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, guys, I think we're ready to start the show.
All right.
Now that we've firmly established what Doki Doki is.
Who's ready for a countdown?
Yes.
Doki that Doki, man.
All right.
I took a Doki Doki earlier today.
Oh, man. Woo.
5. Well, remember,
no follow-up.
Say, well, remember, you can. It's only pee if you pee it out your penis.
So you gotta say piss.
Piss.
It's not piss until you piss it out your penis. That's the saying, David. Get it right.
Yeah. That's a bit of classic saying. It's a whole
Why'd
series.
you stop the countdown, John?
Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, Doki Doki.
Welcome to Game That Tune.
Oh, yeah. What's going on, everybody? It is Game That Tune back in the house once again. It's ya boy, John Harrington here. We got John Regan with us. Say hey.
Hey.
We got Jesse Moore. Say hey.
Hey.
And we've got David Fleming. Say hey.
Hey.
Hell yeah, guys. Welcome back. We're here. Game That Tune, episode 187. That's right, 187 on this motherfucking pod. And if you are just joining us here on Game That Tune, what we are going to do here, we're going to listen to some video game music. We've each brought 3 songs from a game. We're going to try and guess each other's games with the songs, with a little bit of trivia. We're going to goof off. We're going to have a lot of fun. And the winner at the end of the night picks the theme for the next episode. And our winner last week, surprisingly, still checking the records on that one. Running that tape back and to the left. It was John Regan with the win last week. And Johnny, we really, I'm just going to put out there, you missed the theme of games involving me, Jay Gangsta. You missed that theme. The easy group of murder games. So tell us what the theme is for this week's episode.
So the theme for this week's episode is games featuring well-known composers. Basically, I want you to play some music, and I want us all to be like, wait a second, I know this guy. I know who did this. Oh, shit. And just to really kind of get in each other's heads with it a little bit. And, yeah. And I want to make it kind of like where you get the composer, you get that narrowed down, then you got to figure out the game. It's going to be tricky, but, So, yeah, it has to be composers that you've heard of, fairly well-known composers.
Yeah, see, you're really going kind of hard on the well-known composer part of it, which is unfortunate because, as people that make a video game music podcast and people that listen to a video game music podcast may know, a lot of the names of these like Japanese composers will run together. What was that? Cat just jumped on my whole setup here. I'm gonna do a refresh and murder my cat during the first game. So yeah, the names of the Japanese composers do tend to run together, and some of these composers here in America aren't necessarily famous composers, but they have a distinct sound about them. Last week, you tried to kind of justify it by saying a unique sound, a distinct sound. You hear it, and you know it's this guy. So I'm saying that just to preface it, because it's like nobody is going to just be like, oh yeah, that's I don't know, X, blank, Nintendo composer. Like you'll know it by sound, though you may not know it by name. That's kind of what my head was. Yeah, X blank Nintendo composer, man. He's the most popular fucking video game music composer in Japan.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he's got a distinct sound. But yeah, so some distinct sounds, some unique styles, some famous composers on this week's Game That Tune. A great theme. And I think we're gonna have a lot of fun. So yeah, we got 4 great games. We got a great fan request, and Johnny, we got great music. So let's start it up.
Game 1.
right, guys. So, only the first 3 characters included in this game are ever referenced by name. All of the additional characters are never described by name. All right, gentlemen, anyone have guesses/answers?
Guesses? Definitely.
Answers? Nope.
Oh.
I don't know. Jesse looks kind of confident. Let's see. So, Jesse says Halo 4, sadly incorrect. John says Dragon Quest 9, sadly incorrect. John Regan says Pirates of the Caribbean, which might be the closest. So this is Skylanders, Spyro's Adventure.
I don't recall seeing Spyro appear in a Pirates of the Caribbean movie, but I stopped watching after the first one, so maybe he appeared in one of those sequels. I don't know.
Those sequels were dog shit. Of course Spyro was in them.
The reason that John might be closest is this game had 2 main composers. One is Lorne Belth, who has composed multiple games as well as films. The other is Hans Zimmer.
Oh, really? Well,
How many games has he scored?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well-
so Johnny's thing was famous composers.
Did I say game composers, or did I just say composers?
I
maybe
really
just say
don't want to have to
composers.
run the tape back on that.
I just said big name composers, you guys. David fits the theme.
And also, to be fair, apparently Hans Zimmer has composed a couple games. He's done a couple of the Call of Duty games. I believe he did like Crysis 2. And yeah, for some reason, Activision tapped Hans Zimmer to do Skylanders, which I thought was really weird. But then I listened to the music. It's like, no, this is kind of sweeping orchestral adventure. Yeah, okay. This definitely sounds like a light Hans Zimmer score.
Indeed.
I didn't realize that Skylanders had games besides just I thought it was just one game. Is this a series?
Oh no, yes.
Oh my god,
like
where have
5
you
or
been,
6 of
Johnny?
these.
How many Skylanders games are there, and how many are how would you rate the Skylander series to the Doki Doki series?
Hey, let's not throw in references to things we were talking about pre-show. Okay, John? God damn it. Let's try and be coherent. Yes, Skylanders is a series. No, John, you don't play Toys to Life games. David, talk to us about the Skylanders series.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, there was a period where Toys to Life and Skylanders in particular were just fucking huge, and then it all went away. I have played Skylanders. I'm not sure which one. My nephews were super into this when I was visiting. Like, I definitely played this with them. It's a pretty fun game. It's like a basic like action platformer beat 'em up type game. Like, you level up your character, you can choose multiple characters. Of all of the Toys to Life game, because like at the time there was Skylanders, there was Disney Infinity, Nintendo had Amiibo. I know there was like a Marvel one at some point too, that had its own separate thing. Skylanders definitely felt like the most, and I'm trying to think of how to phrase this, sketchy? Because like when you get like a Link amiibo, you can unlock things in multiple games. Like when you get Disney Infinity, like, oh, here's your playset, you can complete this with these 2 characters, but you can buy more. Like, there are certain parts of the level in Skylanders that you can't get to unless you buy another character. And like, that's kind of fucked up.
I can't believe that, man. Coming from a beloved publisher like Activision, I mean, truly, I cannot believe that they would make the most cash grabby Toys to Life game possible. No, sir, I refuse to believe it.
And it's weird because like you can upgrade your character and you can get like different armor and hats and that kind of thing. You can also unlock upgrades for characters that you don't have. So if you do that, it just plays you like a trailer for that character to kind of like say, hey, here's something you can get if you spend $12.99 to buy this character. Like,
yeah.
Huh.
See, and that's the thing I always worried was in play with all these Toys to Life games. 1, I was never going to play them. But 2, if I got into them and discovered some shit like that, I would be furious for ever attempting to get into them. Like, some of the stuff in Disney Infinity looked kind of fun, like, character mingling and stuff like that. But if there were like sections that, prevented you from completing the game because you didn't have like the right Star Wars character in your fucking, like Marvel section or something, I'd be fucking furious. So
well, and that's the thing that I liked about Disney
only
Infinity.
A Skylanders thing.
It's like, that's what I liked about Disney Infinity, is like, if you wanted to play as a certain character, you just bought that character. It didn't lock you out of stuff. Whereas Skylanders, like, I remember playing with my nephews and like getting to some gate. It's like, oh, what's behind there? I wonder if there's some stuff there. It's like, oh no, that's an ice gate. We don't have any ice characters. Oh, well,
yeah.
Huh. It's like
I got frustrated.
They should have just put like a price tag on the gate.
Seriously, yeah. Like, just do a microtransaction to open the gate so they don't have to actually go to the store. But yeah, see, I got frustrated by that kind of shit. Like, oh, I don't have an ice character. I got frustrated by that in fucking like Lego Marvel games, and those aren't tied to toys. It's like, oh, you can't do anything to that because you have to have a character with claws. I'm like, well, I'm playing a level as Iron Man right now. I'm not going to remember to come back with a character with claws. Like, what the fuck, man? Just, what's wrong with you? Don't design it this way.
Oh, well, to get to that, you have to use claws to climb up this wall. Like, I'm Iron Man. I can just fly up there, right?
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
I can't.
Pretty sure a repulsor blast would open that door just fine. Whatever.
I wonder if they'll ever start making these kinds of games, but they just sell them with like a credit card reader that you plug into your console.
Yeah.
Like, say a few steps.
That does
the
seem
pad
like a
that
natural
you're supposed
progression.
to you put the toy on, it brings the toy into the game. Instead, it's just like a touch to pay, like Apple Pay pad.
Now, I have a question.
No, you don't get toys. Trust me, just pay for it. Buy it.
I got a question. These are called Toys to Life games, but like, so do the toys actually come to life in front of you? Like,
It's just like Small Soldiers.
Okay.
Yeah, John.
That's dope.
Yeah.
No,
John didn't watch Small Soldiers. It's actually, it's like that movie, The Indian in the Cupboard.
Okay, so
that
excuse
was
me.
rad.
I did see.
It comes
Small
with a magical
Soldiers,
cupboard.
Phil Hartman's last film. I did see this movie.
Okay.
In
yeah, I know,
theaters,
man,
no
but
less.
you're crying the whole time.
Did you know it was Phil Hartman's last film at the time, or
No.
were you just hedging your bets?
I just
Right.
really wanted to see Small Soldiers. I don't know why.
I mean,
I was
it
Small
looked
Soldiers,
cool.
like, I hope I never see that guy again.
And then you open the
Ugh.
newspaper like, oh God.
Right. But yeah, no, it's an Indian in the cupboard game. Yes. Going back to my reference, every game comes with a magical cupboard that you put these characters into, and they come to life not only in front of you but also in the game for you to play with.
Man, that's dope.
I have literally
Yeah.
had a 4-inch Elsa living in my house for 3 years.
Mhm.
That's what she said.
Yeah. She's so naive, man. She doesn't even realize that she's a prisoner. It's great.
Oh, this is getting dark.
God.
Anyway,
Anyways,
yeah, but but my question, David, have they gotten Spyro completely out of Skylanders now? Is it just its own thing?
Yes. So like
Okay.
apparently as I was like researching this game looking for trivia and everything, apparently this was supposed to be a Spyro MMO, and like you wouldn't play as Spyro, he was just going to be like a full-grown dragon giving you missions, and it was going to be like a very dark fantasy, like bloody type game. And then they were like, "Wait, no, I don't know how that would go. Like, didn't kids play Spyro? Let's do that instead." So like, yeah, they scaled it down and made it more kid friendly and all ages. And like I said, the game was fun. It just it got real expensive real fast.
Yeah, that's why I've been so hesitant to commit to anything involving amiibos. I just buy the ones that I think look cool. Like, damn, what happened? Whatever happens in the game happens. But I like those cool looking figures.
Well, that's my problem with amiibo, to go on a tangent, is all of the amiibo that I have are like the obscure ones, because I can buy a Mario toy at Walgreens, but like I'm never going to be able to buy a Wii Fit Trainer toy. That's the kind of shit that I want.
Yeah, no, they seem like they come around once in a lifetime, and yeah, it's taken until this past year for like a statue, small statue of Ridley from Metroid to pop up on a store shelf. So it's like, yeah, I have to buy that now. Yeah, I'll come back for the others later, but Ridley's coming home today. Like, and they just didn't have that same thing with Skylanders. That's the thing. It's like, who are these characters? Oh, they're a bunch of fucking slapped together like B-tier Digimon monsters that are in a Spyro game. Cool. I'm not going to buy those on site. Like,
B-tier
not
Digimon
happening.
monsters.
I'm just saying, look at the fucking designs. They're just, I don't know. It's just kid shit. That's all I ever saw when it's like, oh, cool, new Spyro game. It's like, actually, no, now the Skylanders are the stars. I'm like, oh, well, fuck that.
I was gonna say, it's like I was going to argue with you and say it's like, well, they have some fun designs, they have some cool things. Like there's like a forest ninja who's called like Stealth Elf. Like it's fun, kid friendly type stuff and everything. But then you said B-tier Digimon monsters. Like that's a perfect description. Like no,
Yeah.
I have no retort to that.
Right. So anyway, David, I'm not gonna burn your ass real hard on the Hans Zimmer thing, because I have been looking at the pages for these games, and the clarification that I feel I need to provide. That first guy you mentioned, Lorne, whoever the fuck, he composed the score for the majority of these games. Hans Zimmer came in and composed the main theme for each game. So I'm letting you off because I've enjoyed this discussion. And the score for the games is this Lorne fellow, and Hans Zimmer did contribute the theme song to each of the games that you mentioned. That's what my research has shown me. So
We might have to fact check during the next break, because I know Hans Zimmer did the main theme, and I know he also did a couple of the level themes in the first game, which is why I pulled from that. But
right.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't have the Inception boom, so I didn't recognize it as Hans Zimmer. That's the next problem. It's like, man, Hans Zimmer's versatile, baby. So,
I'm just imagining it's like, oh, we're gonna make like a Toys to Life game. We're gonna add Spyro. Who do we get to do the music? Call Hans Zimmer. Seriously?
Yeah, exactly. Do you have James Horner? No, he's dead. Fine, then get me Hans Zimmer.
I would love some kind of Skylanders Inception game where they actually manage to incept you, like they somehow make you go to sleep and give you ideas while you're asleep. Oh man.
Or I just
enter
want
your
like
dreams.
a Spyro level that involves like twisting buildings.
Yes,
Isn't that like
exactly.
the Lawnmower Man?
Yeah, I want a Skylanders game with just no physics whatsoever. Everything just makes zero sense. So-
I want to.
oh, it'd be great.
I want.
Or
a
I just
Sky-
want like a small like plastic figure of Ken Watanabe that I can play as in a video game.
That too, yes. Can we just finally get some fucking amiibos of the cast of Inception, please? I need my fucking Tom Hardy amiibo, is what I'm saying. Anyway, Johnny, let's keep it going before we come up with too many great ideas.
Game 2.
right, guys. The inspiration for the story of this game was the question of where inspiration comes from. While researching it, the game's director came across Rupert Sheldrake's morphic resonance hypothesis, which became the main focus of the game's science fiction elements. Alright, guys, who's got some answers?
Before we show our answers, will you stop clearing your fucking throat into the microphone,
Oh,
John?
sorry.
I have to edit this show.
Sorry about that.
Good Lord.
All right, let's see. Oh, wow, we have a hat trick. Everybody wrote 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors. See, this came to us as a fan request for the week from Kelladon.
I hate to do this to a fan.
Uh-oh.
Game over!
John, did you check the fucking list of games we've used in the past before taking this request?
No, I always assume our fans check that list. Have we done this game before?
Oh, yeah, Johnny.
Son of a bitch. Is it just...
It's all right, man.
Oh, it's just on the
I guess.
radio? Is that what happened here?
I don't know.
All right. Whoops.
So, David, you played this, right?
Gotta be you.
It was on Nintendo DS.
Yeah.
That's it for David's system.
I'm aware of it. I know it's a thing. It's like a point and click adventure game. If I'm not mistaken, I believe you're like there are 9 characters, and I think you're like trapped on a ship or something, and you have to solve like why you're there and how to escape.
Yeah, you're on a cruise liner, and you're put in a bunch of life or death situations that you have to try to figure out how to escape from. The game
9.
Yes. And there's 2 kind of modes. There's like the escape
Wait,
mode.
shouldn't there be 9?
You would think that, but no, there's only 2.
I'm out.
And so there's escape sections where you have to complete a puzzle in like an escape room kind of situation, and then there's the graphic novel sections where you answer questions to direct the game's storyline. It sounds like this game was made as a graphic novel first and then turned into a game. I think that's what this is.
To be fair, there were a lot of games on the DS that were kind of like, we're going to make a video game, but really it's just kind of like a comic. Like, if you play a lot of the Phoenix Wright games, like, they're not super interactive. They're kind of visual novels.
Yep. Tap here to continue the game. Yeah. That sounds about right. I mean, obviously there's puzzles and whatnot. You got to tap the right things. But yeah, that's a lot of that DS stuff is just kind of, engaging stories, interesting ways to tell stories. But John, yeah, is it, John? You really gotta check that list,
man.
Well, it's weird too because like the top of the list is numbers, so this should have been one of the first games that you saw.
Don't tell me that.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, on the cover of the game, there's 3 9s, but then it's spelled out in letters: 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors. So, it's on. All you had to do was Control F the word hours, and it's the only game on the list. I mean, regardless of how you spell your numbers, you should have found this.
Now you've just got me curious. How many games on our list of games we've already used contain the word 9?
9.
I mean, I'm guessing Mega Man 9.
Talking about the spelled out or number?
Zelda 9. Madden 9.
It's much
What is
less
Zelda
easy
9?
to find that because if you Control F, you get all the 9s that are next to the episode title or episode numbers and all that. So
Mario 9.
Anyway, great request, Kel. I guess we should tell everybody to check that list of games that we've already used. It's on the website. If you check GameThatTune.com, there's a link to the website to our immense Google sheet of games that we've already used on the show. So consult that before making requests. Wow,
I just want to interrupt very quickly because I know we have a lot to say about this game. Jesse, you got me curious. Apparently, The Legend of Zelda 4 Swords is the 9th Zelda game.
Cool.
Well observed. So, Johnny, let us continue.
Game 3.
Good night.
John, your mic is off.
I actually did hit the unmute on the cough button, but I guess I didn't hit it hard enough. Okay, guys. So, allies in this game include the young wizard Garstein, the princess Elixil, the knight Sirius, the android Magna, and the shapeshifter dragon goddess Nevis. How are you guys feeling?
I feel like we might be playing the game over sound again, but for other reasons.
I'm unsure what you mean by that, but I'm ready for action, guys. What do you got for me? Let's see. So John Regan says Kirby OK Star. You're on the right track. Jesse and David both have the correct answer. This is Alka.
What the hell's Alka?
I feel like this is a Japanese only game, and we typically don't do that.
I don't recall that being a rule of this show.
I recall that being a rule of this show stated by you.
You're gonna have to, cite me some examples because I got a mind like a steel trap.
Oh,
And,
I distinctly remember me trying to use Mega Man Battle and Chase after it was released on a Mega Man X Anniversary Collection, and you giving me hearty shit.
I don't recall that, man. I will say I have been under the weather, so I have been taking a mixture of medications. So I might not. And it's hard to read the warnings on these medications. I realize now they are all in Chinese, so they may be commingling in my system in a strange way.
Ooh.
You didn't get those from China, did you?
No, I don't think so. I got them from the same place I get all my medication.
And
Where's
where's that?
Like Walgreens or something?
It's the only place that accepts my insurance. Wish.com.
Oh my god!
Oh no! John,
Oh god!
no.
Do you get your pills like with bondage collars, like as additional features?
Do you guys not? Have you been this site, man? They got everything you need. I got a lot of generic pills for under $10. They come in a jar. It says pills.
It just says pills.
And I go with that. And so
Are any of them ever the right size? Because my understanding of
I don't
Wish is
think-
nothing's the right size.
is there a wrong size, John, when you're talking suppositories? I don't think there are.
I mean, with enough determination, no.
Exactly, man. Just a little bit of elbow grease. That's what I call the grease that I keep by my sink.
I mean,
It
if
all
there's
goes,
suppositories, it requires a lot of elbow grease because
oh yeah,
some
some of the,
Usually
some of that good,
Astro grease.
that good expensive grease. But no. So anyway, I'm confident that we have no rules against this on the show. And so this is Alka, a game exclusively released for the Super Famicom in Japan. A fantastic game from developer HAL Laboratory.
Alka.
Alkahest, Alcahest. Apparently, the word Alkahest means like it's something to do with alchemy. It's like a theoretical cure to everything, like a panacea. But yeah, this game it was released in Japan only, and I'm kind of pissed about it because it was on the Super Famicom, and it looks like a lot of fun. It's like a top-down action RPG, which is exactly the kind of shit I was looking for back in the day on the Super Nintendo. Like, it looks pretty cool. You're running around and you're upgrading your weapons. You get allies. You don't get to control the ally per se, but they basically become like your special attack. So like depending on what ally you got with you, they'll cast certain spells or like protect you in certain ways. And the game looks nice. It's got these cool areas full of enemies. There's like these cool like dash pads and like jump pads to move between things, and like you can do sick ass like charge attacks. And it just, it looks like a really fun game. And I'm like, why, I'm trying to think of like why they wouldn't bother putting this on the actual SNES and bringing it over to America. My only thought is it came out in 93, developed by HAL, published by Square. Ooh. I have to think that maybe the ugly divorce was happening behind the scenes between Nintendo and Square. Cause like Secret of Mana famously got chopped up. But still came out in America, and maybe Square was like, well, fuck you guys. We're not publishing Alkahest. Like, I'm not paying a translator if you're not going to give us that SNES disc drive, baby. And so, yeah, and I guess Nintendo didn't feel like doing the work either. So Alkahest remains Japan only. But there is a fan translation out there. And frankly, now that we got this SNES thing on the Switch, they should fucking throw this one to us, man. Like, they threw us one random Japanese game. Why not throw Alkahest in the mix, too? Put a little Alkahest in that mix.
See, that's what I like about the upcoming Turbo Graphics Mini is they just threw like 10 Japanese only games on there. They're like, it's fucking 16-bit games. You'll figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it with Alkahest too. It's like, you got a guy, your name is Alan. You're trying to return the powers of the four gods to your blade to take down the demon Alkahest. I could probably parse that out from fucking going around and exploring this game. Like, it's not, it doesn't seem like kind of game you necessarily can get lost in, because it seems like it's got it's not a big open world. It's more like stages, and you complete them and you move on. So it's like, yeah, I could probably fucking figure that out without fucking, a translation. So yeah, just put it on everybody's Switch. Pull U2. It's there right now. You all have Alkahest. That's a reference. That sticks.
Just .switch, and then it's there. Alkahest.switch.
But anyway, so yeah, it's a really cool game. And so the composer on this game, any guesses based on that sound? Johnny, you were very close.
Jun Ishikawa.
That's correct. The composer was Jun Ishikawa. Because yes, the reason I discovered this game, I have the soundtrack to every single SNES game downloaded on my computer, and I've got them loaded in my music player. And from time to time, I'll just hit shuffle and listen to something as I'm cleaning the house or whatever. And one day I'm sitting there doing my thing, and a song from Alkahest came on, and I'm like, man, fuck yeah, classic Kirby Superstar. And then I went and looked. I'm like, hey, wait, what the fuck is Alkahest? Like, that's not only a word I don't know, it's a game I don't know. So I have questions.
I'm sold on this box art alone. Like,
dude, the box art looks
it's pretty cool.
Big red dragon, fucking dope looking dude. That's all you need. But the thing I was going to say about it is, as I was doing research for this episode, John, because my thought went to kind of composers with a distinct style as opposed to big name composers, because Jun Ishikawa, not necessarily a big name. I mean, to us in the video game music circles, you say Jun Ishikawa, you're like, oh yeah, one of the Kirby guys. And so it's a name that we know but isn't necessarily well known. And as I was doing research for this, at first I was like, oh man, I'll just pick some of that 90s Sega shit, that Naofumi Hataya, just everybody's, something super recognizable. And I discovered that as time goes on and, people could just kind of put more CD quality audio on a game, the style kind of disappears because, like, these guys are asked to compose for a number of different games, and so they don't necessarily maintain a distinct style or sound once CD audio is involved. And so I had to start going further back, and then that's when I remembered Alkahest. And the thing that's cool about like old game music is they had to program this shit. It's not like Jun Ishikawa got the assignment and he walks into Nintendo or HAL and they're like, all right, so here's what we're working on. Here is the SNES, equipment set. These are the sounds you can make. It's like, no, these guys were like trying to crack the code and program the sounds they wanted to make into the games. Like, if you listen to or read like interviews with like Tim Fallon, he talks about like, he didn't really consider himself a composer. He considered himself a computer programmer because like he wanted to be able, like people would be composing whatever sounds. And he's like, yeah, I want to kind of make it. I want to figure out how to use this, whatever, essentially this synthesizer, this instrument to make the sounds I want to make. And so Jun Ishikawa maybe doesn't necessarily have a distinct style, but I think on the Super NES, he keyed in on a distinct sound that became kind of his sound and the Kirby sound. And so it's, I just thought that was really interesting because like, you listen to these songs and, they immediately evoke for me a much more played game, Kirby Superstar. So Johnny, I've got that one song, I believe it's labeled Song to Prove John's Point.
Yeah.
It's the main theme, one of the main themes from Kirby Superstar. It's the theme from the Great Cave Offensive. Go ahead and play that for us. And you just hear those same instruments. Jun Ishikawa had that like, go ahead and fade it down. He just had like those kick drums and like snares and bass. And he just had like, he used those distinct instruments that were, programmed by him with the sound set to make the sounds he wanted to make. And so Alkahest sounds exactly like Kirby Superstar. You can hear the similarities by listening to those two songs or those two games back to back. Yeah.
I definitely like understand where you're coming from, and I totally agree based on a completely different point because Jun Ishikawa, in addition to composing a lot of the classic Kirby games, he is also the composer for the Box Boys series. And if you ever listen to any of those soundtracks, they sound radically different because he's not using a Super Nintendo. Like, he has a very distinct sound on the Super Nintendo. And then when he's given like more advanced electronics to create music, he creates a completely different sound.
Right. No, and that's what's, what strikes me as interesting is like, he has to program sounds into the Super NES and he has to make the, the wave shapes or whatever that makes these new, these different sounds. And so essentially like he, kind of, I don't know, the only way he really varies it up, like, listening to like Kirby Superstar versus Alkahest is Kirby Superstar uses more flute sounds. Like that's literally the difference. Like, Alkahest is more of an action RPG. So it's more driving drums and bass lines and whatnot. And then it's like, all right, Kirby's a little bit more light, so throw a fucking flute in that mix, and boom, same thing. But we still got that percussive driving beat going. So I like it a lot, man. And I do need to listen to more of the Box Boy soundtracks because I like those. They're fun soundtracks, and frankly, I should have played the games by now. But yeah. So anyway, Johnny, give us another taste of that song that proves my point. The theme from Great Cave Offensive, the one that we all know and love. Oh, you botched the bit, John. I meant play that first track again, the one that we played before. Yeah, that song we all know and love, the theme from the Great Cave Offensive. That none of you question, because this isn't actually at all the theme from the Great Cave Offensive. This is the theme from Alkahest. And now, John, play us the song that further proves my point, the theme from the Great Cave Offensive. Telling you, the guy's got a style and a sound that he likes to use. So, man.
I honestly still don't know which is which.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. I thought everybody was going to listen to that first song to prove my point and just be like, "Oh yeah, man, that's Ishikawa, all right," and that's that good cave offense. I was going to be like, "Yeah, see that proves my point perfectly because that's actually Alka Hest." Like, because again, when I was first hearing this, I was like, "Man, yeah, classic cave offensive," and then it's like, "Oh, this is a completely different game that never came out in America." Well, it sounds really fucking good, and I like that soundtrack. So, yeah, man. Maybe we could do a theme at some point. Break from GTT tradition and do games that never came out in America or something. Because there's some good soundtracks that we've been greatly ignoring on this show. But anyway, awesome game. Great soundtrack. Love Jun Ishikawa. Shout out to his usual co-composer Hirokazu Ando. Shout out to the whole composer team that works on Kirby. Shout out to HAL Laboratory. Shout out to Squaresoft. Shout out to Alka Hest. Shout out to
the Super Famicom.
Shout out to the Super Famicom. Shout out to the shape-shifting dragon goddess Nevis. I got a lot of shout outs from this one, man. And I am going to play this game at some point. Okay, fine.
Alright, so this game has a fairly unique combat system. Rather than being let's say, turn-based battle or a manually activated sword, this system is described as a bump attack system where you simply run into the other enemy. It has become one of the series' defining features and was originally done as like a way to make the game accessible.